Today's First Alert afternoon weather update is brought to you by Lockhart Roofing.
Good Tuesday afternoon, First Alert meteorologist Diane Phillips. We are going to be talking about our weather going into the afternoon, evening, and even as far as the weekend. Now, we have seen that those clouds have been hanging around. We haven't come up with too much wet weather from it, so we're happy to see that we've been able to maintain a drier forecast. But we are still going to be finding that we do have some wet weather later on, so those spring showers are definitely starting to take shape here in the First Alert forecast. Starting outside, though, I do kind of want to set the stage here. This is our Vehicle City Harley-Davidson camera positioned along I-75. So it looks like drivers are not having too many issues kind of cruising through town here. We've had the cloudy skies. At times I was hoping to get some sun through there, but really the clouds are kind of winning in the forecast today. So we are going to just kind of continue to keep an eye on our conditions. You will see that our rain chances for today do flatline. So we are sitting at 0% here through the day. It is going to be pretty light if we do pick up a sprinkle, a rare sprinkle that comes through. But overall, we are going to be finding that we really don't have too many issues regarding wet weather in the Tuesday forecast. However, when you do look at radar, you will see that there are some differences here. We are going to be seeing a little more action throughout Saginaw Bay, coming into the Thumb, Northern Bay County, Aranet counties. And this is some moisture that's coming through. However, it has not been detected on any of the sensors that we're able to kind of tap into and see. So of course we know that that moisture is there. We can see it on radar, but it's just evaporating before it makes it to the ground level. So we're not actually experiencing it here on the surface. Some of the sensors that are reporting any precip have actually been closer towards the state line, and those are just reporting some mist, some drizzle. So we're not really seeing too many issues. Locally, kind of our best moisture is going to stay towards the southern half of the state and actually into Indiana and Ohio. So it's been pretty quiet for us here locally. Air temperatures have been rebounding a little bit better today. We are going to be finding those sitting into the mid to upper 30s, and we even have a handful of 40s. Everybody along I-69 is reporting 40s. We have 42 in Flint, 43 in Lapeer. We also have West Branch and Houghton Lake into the 40s. A little bit cooler kind of coming out of the bay. We got 29 in Bay City, but you can see kind of coming further back inland. You can see Saginaw's reporting about 37 degrees at MBS. We have 39 in Midland, 41 for Mount Pleasant and Alma. Also a little bit cooler right there along the shoreline of the Thumb. We're at 32 in Port Hope and 31 in Port Sanilac. And then we have Caseville at 31. So our temperatures a little bit stronger than yesterday, a little bit warmer, but it's not really the big heat that we're going to be talking about coming our way later on. So it's still kind of a mid-season. We're kind of stuck somewhere between winter with the clouds, but temperatures trying to warm up, but they're not all that warm yet. So we're just going to kind of be monitoring these numbers as they come through. When we look at our forecasted high temperatures, you are going to be seeing those warming up even as quickly as tomorrow, because we do have some sun in the forecast. So we do have 50 degrees setting up, and then we have 41 coming in for Thursday. So we have some rain that comes in. That's going to kind of keep those numbers a little bit cooler, but then we were able to go ahead for the weekend and bring in some bigger heat. We're first alerting you on Saturday. We did go for 60s for highs in the forecast. So we are going to be finding some big spring heat for this point in the season, considering our normal highs are typically into the upper 30s. So this is going to be well above average. However, we do kind of see that waning and kind of dropping off as we go a little bit deeper into the forecast. But overall, not going to be all that frigid, but we do just kind of see that cooler trend coming in. So that's what we're going to be watching for. So enjoy the weekend while we do have the mild conditions here. However, there is going to be some rain that comes along with it. Kind of talking about that drop in temperature that is going to lead us up into St. Patrick's Day. So kind of keep that in mind if you're going to be going to the Bay City Parade, that it may just be a little bit cooler. It does kind of come with the territory. It's March after all. It's just like we're trying to get into spring. We're kind of getting our feet underneath us again, but we just can't quite get fully established with seeing that warmer air come in. So just kind of something to keep in mind is that March, we do have a lot of variations. This is a big transition month for us, not only when we're looking at the weather, but also in our time change. We have the time change coming up this weekend. We're also going to be talking about the amount of daylight that we're gaining. So we'll talk about that coming up, but just remember, this is just kind of that middle ground here. We're going to be going back and forth between winter and spring. So there's going to be a lot of transition here as we go throughout the forecast. But with the cloud cover that we have for today, you're probably hoping to see a little more sunshine. And we do have that for tomorrow. So it is still going to be a little bit cloudy today, not nearly as nice as what we had yesterday with the sun. And also the cloud cover that's been hanging around today that kind of spoiled our lunar eclipse. And Matthew, he did catch a little bit of the eclipse on our camera, but he said that the clouds rolled in around 5:45, 5:50. And so then he couldn't get kind of that totality phase that was happening between 6 and 7 a.m. So it's kind of a bummer because that's when we have that red phasing that comes up, and then the clouds have just stuck around. So the timing was definitely not on our side for that one. But if you were up early, hopefully you got a good look at what you could see depending where you were at. Now we are looking forward to the sunshine on Wednesday. However, that does not last. We do have rain chances coming in for Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So that means we have to have some clouds. And rain clouds a little bit on the thicker side then. So that's why we really kind of see this line dropping here. So when a lot of us want to be outside and enjoying the mild weather, we are going to be finding that we have some rainfall that's going to make that a little bit trickier. Here's a look at our rain chances. You can kind of see they're in the middle of the road. We're anywhere from 60 to 40 to 50%. So none of these days are a complete wash, but I do anticipate some of them may need to be bumped up on percentages. So I will be forecasting that here after our hangout. But just kind of keep in mind that there will be rainfall while you want to be outside. So that's kind of the give and take here in the season. It's warm enough to just have rain and not snow, but when we want to get outside, it's then wet when we want to be out there. So that's what we're going to be watching. A lot of these days do just have scattered rain, so I'm hoping that you can catch a couple of breaks. But if you do have some outdoor plans, make sure that you have the First Alert weather app going. I have the QR code right here. So make sure you give that a scan so you have the app, so then you can kind of keep an eye on our rain chances going into the weekend if you have some plans. When we look at the hour by hour, we do have the cloud cover here for today. I am going to keep it mainly dry. You can see it's trying to populate a couple sprinkles in, just like we were seeing on radar. There's a little bit of action there. It's just not making it to the ground level. So it's been pretty quiet here for us. We are going to continue to see some better clearing going into the overnight and tomorrow morning. So that's why we are going to add a little more sunshine in for Wednesday. So we are hoping to have a beautiful day. We will have a little bit of cloud cover that's still just kind of hanging out through the thumb in our northern counties. So we're just going to kind of be watching on the edges of mid-Michigan, especially into the thumb where we do have some of that cloud cover coming in. So just kind of keep that in mind, that we are going to be, for some of us, enjoying the sunshine. Others may still have some clouds that hang around. Now this is Thursday morning. As we go ahead in time, you are going to see that there's a little bit of pink and green showing up. So what's happening is the hour by hour, it's a little bit colder than what the rest of the model suite has. So what it's picking up on is it's trying to say that there's going to be a little bit of freezing drizzle on the leading edge of our sprinkles and kind of that moisture that comes in early Thursday morning. I anticipate that it's all going to be temperature based. We're going to be hovering right around 33, 34 degrees. So we still could have some icing getting close to 32, but I anticipate just kind of keeping it liquid because I hope that we do not hit that 32-degree mark, because that's when it's going to start to get interesting. Overall Thursday morning, I don't anticipate impacts, but I do recommend just getting up maybe a little bit earlier, tuning in to TV5. Matthew, of course, is going to be watching those temperatures. He's going to be watching radar to see what we have going on. So it's always kind of good to check in to know if you need to use that few extra minutes to get out the door early so that you can get to work on time. But throughout the day, we're going to continue to see that warm air push in and keep us in that rain zone. So though there is kind of that pink on that leading edge locally for us here in mid-Michigan, we are going to be looking at mainly rainfall with this one. It will be a little bit steady at times, but you can see that coverage isn't completely widespread. So that's what we're going to be watching on Thursday, is that we are going to kind of have that rain. It really kind of gets picked up and going though into the afternoon, but we do still have some morning drizzle that'll be possible. So that's kind of our first day with the rain. And then, whoop, I don't want that to go that fast. We don't want to rush the weekend. I feel like that's how fast the weekend goes, though. It's just done like that. But we are going to see, though, going into our Friday, that we do have that rainfall that comes in. So this is our next low pressure system that sets up for us. So this is going to come across. We'll still see at times a couple of breaks. This is the American model that I'm running here. So this one has a little bit bigger pixels, so it's maybe a little bit hard to pick up on those breaks. However, the concept is that it will be coming in the later half of our Friday. It'll be sticking around going into our Friday night into Saturday morning, and then the low itself does pass by on Saturday. So once that does, we have dry air that comes in. You can see that trying to circulate closer towards lunchtime. And then behind it, not too much to report after that. And then the forecast actually even dries out going into Sunday. So we kind of have the Thursday system and then the next system that comes in late Friday into Saturday. So it kind of branches the 2 days there. So that's why we do have that 3-day span of some rain, because we have two systems pretty quick right on each other's heels that are going to be bringing us some rain chances here. Again, we are only anticipating rain because temperature should be on the warmer side. So that's what we're going to be monitoring, is just any temperature changes, especially at the onset of Thursday. So make sure you tune in tonight. Chris will have another update here at 9 o'clock. And then also tomorrow morning at 10:30, we will have Matthew back here hanging out at the desk, and he will have the latest on what we're watching in the forecast. So plenty of ways to stay connected with us. But we still need to talk about the time change and how that's coming our way this weekend. So I'm going to take a quick minute. We're going to be switching gears here in about 60 seconds, and we'll be right back. Welcome back. That 60 seconds goes by pretty quickly. So we are going to be talking about the time change coming up this weekend. So taking a look, I cannot believe already, but we are going to be springing forward. So this means that we will be switching over to daylight saving time. So what that means for us is that on Saturday night at 2 a.m., probably should do it before you go to bed so that you're on time in the next morning, but you're going to want to go and bump those clocks an hour ahead before you go to bed. Of course, you can get up at 2 and jump quickly to 3 a.m. just like that. But what we're really going to kind of notice is that sunrise time, of course, is now going to be a little bit later, because the sun's going to be coming up at 8 a.m. on Sunday morning. So for kids going to school, you're really going to notice this on Monday and Tuesday, but everybody's going to kind of notice it. In case you're sleeping in on Sunday, you'll notice it Sunday night. Because the sunset's going to be around 7:33 p.m. So we are going to kind of gain that hour on the backside. We're just kind of shifting our day by that 1 hour. It's just 60 minutes makes a big difference. So just don't forget that that's going to be happening this weekend. This is also just another good time to go and test any smoke detectors, any carbon monoxide detectors, and just kind of make sure that, one, they have fresh batteries, that they are operating. So just kind of a friendly reminder here with just especially a lot of the fires that we've had across to the mid-Michigan area, just to kind of be safe. This is a good time to do those safety checks. I know March is a good time for spring cleaning, but just don't forget some of those things that we maybe take for granted and we assume that they're working and they're not. So again, check batteries in your smoke and carbon monoxide detectors, make sure those are all working, and then don't forget to go and change your clocks then Saturday night before you go to bed, or again, you can wait till Sunday morning at 2 a.m. to do that. Now, I know that this is kind of a hot topic at times, talking the time change, because a lot of people have their own feelings on kind of if they want to stay on standard time. Some just want to keep it on saving time, and we all have our personal preferences. Both have pros and cons, really, when you think about it. It just kind of depends what works and kind of what phase of life you're in. I know this is kind of some of our sunrise times if we were to make daylight saving time permanent. So kind of looking across the state, you can see for mid-Michigan, but the lower peninsula and then the eastern UP, that being on Eastern time zone, of course, we're on the western half of the Eastern time zone. So we get to take that daylight a little bit later. But overall, you can see here that much of the lower peninsula and then even the eastern half of the UP, our sunrise time would actually be closer towards about 9:30 a.m. So that means that you're not really kind of getting even that pre-dawn light until the 8 o'clock hour. And this would be all year long. So imagine if we stayed on saving time, your sunrise time as kids are going to school isn't going to be until maybe some light 8 o'clock, but you could be into first or second period for some of our school kids before the sun is even coming up. So of course, there's always the concerns coming in on getting kids to school safely and seeing them as they're walking to school or even getting to and from the bus. So there's something to keep in mind there. Also, older populations, they prefer to drive potentially when the sun is up, and totally get that. It's a lot easier. It's easier to spot the deer in the daylight. So then you just kind of have to wait for that sun to come up on this scenario. So you may find that then doctor's appointments, you're just going to have to schedule those a little bit later than maybe doing an earlier morning appointment. So there's just a lot to keep in mind. Again, those are two different age groups that are going to be easily affected by the sunrise time. So there's just a lot to consider when we all have the hot debate on which one we should be on. So maybe just kind of switching back to both. There are definitely the health concerns doing the switch, but that's why we can just take the time now to do a little bit of prep. Of course, this also kind of pushes our daylight a little bit later into the day, but I always just kind of find it interesting because even the Western UP, they would not see their sunrise time until about 9:30, 10 a.m. So that would really be late. Of course, a couple of those counties are on the central time zone, but overall, we would definitely see here in the state of Michigan, we would have some really late sunrise times compared to what we're used to, because when you look at some of our future sunrise times, you are going to see here that today it was at 7:08 a.m. So that you can add nearly a couple of hours, and then that's when it would come up if we were on saving time year round. Sunset today is going to be at about 6:27, and then you'll notice we talked about that 8 a.m. Sunrise on Sunday, and then the sunset at 7:33 p.m. But even by May 1st, I kind of jumped ahead in time to get us there. So by May 1st, our sunrise time is going to be at 6:28 a.m. and then 8:37 for the sunset. And then I took us all the way to the summer solstice on June 21st. So the sunrise time is at 5:55 a.m. and then the sunset isn't until about 10:20 p.m. And so that would be some pretty big differences. Of course, that's already on saving time, but you can just kind of notice that maybe we get used to, hey, the sun's up by 6 in the summer. I'm already rolling and I'm ready to get going. But kind of the biggest thing to kind of keep in mind here is even when we're debating which one we should be on, we simply can't change the length of day. We can only just get so much sunlight depending on Earth's rotation and the position of the sun and just where we're at, all of the astronomical movements that are going on. We can only just do so much with the length of day anyway. It just depends whether it's shifted that 1 hour. So just kind of something to keep in mind there is no matter what, in the winter season, we're just going to have shorter days. And then in the summer, we're just going to have some super long days. So even in the next week, because by Sunday, we're going to gain nearly 15 minutes of daylight by then in our total day length. And then by May 1st, because see, we're going to pick up a lot of time here in March and April. So we're going to have our day length increase by 2 hours and 36 minutes by the time we get to March 1st. So that's really when you're going to kind of notice the difference. And also a little more daylight helps to bring those temperatures up, because I know a lot of us are trying to do flowers come May. And then going into June, the summer solstice, by that point, our days, not that they're getting shorter, but we're just not gaining as much time. So really kind of that difference between May 1st and then June 21st, our day length only increases by about 1 hour and 15 minutes, that 75-minute difference. So today, though, we are adding 2 minutes and 56 seconds of daylight. In the next couple of days, we're going to be getting close to about 3 minutes of daylight. So we're going to have all of March and all of April where we are gaining nearly 3 minutes of daylight each day. So that's why we're going to see some big changes here to get us to May 1st to have our day length be longer. So it's just that we're adding a little more sun. We're just getting a little bit more of that. Another thing to kind of keep in mind is that the sun angle is also going to start to get stronger. So when we have these nice days and you want to be out, just a friendly reminder that you do need that sunscreen on. So I know it might seem a little bit early, but it doesn't hurt to have that on if you're going to be outside. So we are going to continue here with that 7-day forecast. You are going to be finding that we do have the dry weather for today and tomorrow. We have the rain chances coming in as we go into Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Linda had said in the Facebook comments, better rain than snow. I think a lot of people agree. It seems like a lot of folks are just kind of ready to move on from the winter weather, but it is March. We've seen some snow into March and April, so just kind of keep that in mind here. So we are going to be finding that those temperatures are going to be warming up. We have some 50s, 60s for Saturday, and then back into the 50s on Sunday. So we do kind of see a little bit of a drop off going into next week and even going into the middle of the month. But still, enjoy the nice weather while we have it. It's always great to kind of get outside. I know a lot of people are trying to kind of break up that cabin fever and feel a little bit better. So I totally get it. But thank you so much for hanging out with us today. Of course, you can tune into TV5 News at 4 o'clock. Colette will have the latest headlines. I will also have the updated 7-day forecast. And we are then going to be continuing on with our news into the 5 and 6 o'clock hours. So we hope to see you there. Thanks so much for joining us today, and take care.
Thank you for joining us. Today's stream has been brought to you by Lockhart Roofing.